God. This was a good moment for humans because we were pretty messed up. We had no perspective of what was right and wrong at this stage in history. Some people did not understand that killing somebody was not in God's will, or that stealing was a bad thing. When we got the Ten Commandments, it was out of love. And we're going to see what that looks like today. The Ten Commandments is our primary focus in this sermon because there's 10 separate little things that we get to look at on these stone tablets. It's very interesting because the perspective of the Ten Commandments frequently is, I don't want to see those things because it'll just make me feel bad. But really, when you really do look at them, they make you fall in love with Jesus. The Ten Commandments are the heart of God. All of the values that are presented there reflect who he is and who you can depend on him. He's the rock. You can depend on him for being who the Ten Commandments say we should be. Cute, huh? Little puppy. Does anybody know what kind of dog this is? Beagle? Beagle puppy. He looks so soft. Yeah. You're not going to like this story very much. A dad. My son's birthday is coming up. What should I get him? I want to get him one of those Power Wheels, but they're not really available anymore. And he always likes petting people's puppies. I think, yes, I will get my son a puppy. What kind of puppy should I get him? Maybe a beagle. So he goes to the pet store, picks out the cutest puppy he can find. One that runs up to him, sniffs his hand, licks him all over. The other one maybe asleep. Picks it up. This is the one. Pretty soon, he's home. The boy unwraps the present. Freaks out. A puppy! Dad comes home from work the next day. Kid's already been home, and the puppy's dead. Puppy has been slaughtered by the little boy. Told you wouldn't like the story very much. A few years pass. The father has recovered from his disturbedness. They've had counseling, figured out, what was the core motivation behind that stuff. You guys don't get to find that out. But basically, the boy asked for another puppy. He asked for another puppy. I would like a replacement puppy now, Daddy. And so he says, all these images flashing in his mind, I will get you another puppy, but you can't kill it, okay? You can't divide its parts around the room. You can't do any of the stuff that you did last time. Just don't, please. And the boy says, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was wrong the first time, but okay, now I know. And so all these rules that would have been ridiculous for the dad to have originally given to the son, here's your puppy, this is the first present. Boy opens like the little puppy carrier thing. I'm the puppy. And the dad's like, now don't kill it. Don't divide it around the room. Don't slaughter this puppy. I want you to be nice to it when I come home from work tomorrow. If the dad had said that, the boy would have been like, oh, what? What are you talking about? I wouldn't kill a puppy. Under normal circumstances, it would have been ridiculous. But in light of the fact that he had destroyed one puppy already, the dad saw it fit to give him new rules, and the boy understood. This is the Ten Commandments for us, guys. We shredded this world to bits, shredded each other to bits. We started worshiping other things that weren't God, demons, idols, and things like that. We started doing all these things that fell out of alignment with how it was originally designed. And God said, I'm going to give you some rules out of love, because what you're experiencing is not the healthy, the fun, the pure way of doing things, the right way of doing things. That's the healthy way of doing things. Remember, this is the heart of Jesus, these commandments. Each time our loving Father watched us stumble over another of Satan's terrible deceptions, he winced as his much-loved kids' lives were shattered even further. He has hollered his warnings to us, and it is our privilege to have those warnings. Another story. This one not gruesome. Could have been, is not. Dad took his little kids out sledding. Puppy's out there, actually he's a dog now, frolicking around. And look at that, Dad, a really tall hill. Let's go to it. We're going to sled down this tall hill. Kids end up on the top of the hill, start sledding down. Halfway down, Dad sees, starting over here somewhere, he wasn't looking, there's a barbed wire fence going straight across the middle of the hill. Here they come. And he yells, "Duck!" And the kids lay flat on their backs, and this barbed wire, rusty barbed wire, right up their front of their face. Doesn't touch them. But if they hadn't listened to their daddy, they would have been in trouble. That's not a true story, guys. I made that one up. So don't freak out. But I mean, it's like, you understand the point, though, yes? Yes. God gave us his warnings, and it's our privilege to have them. It's not something we could have predicted on our own. We didn't see all these barbed wire strands like flying towards our face. But God told us about these things. He's telling you about barbed wire fences in his 10 Commandments so that you can duck. That makes sense? In Matthew 22:36, somebody comes up and starts talking to Jesus, and he says, "Teacher, what's the greatest commandment in the law?" And Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second's like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments." So God kind of divides the 10 commandments. The first 4 are about loving God, and the last 6 are about love your neighbors. What does this all point to? This points to selflessness. This points to giving my love to other people and not focusing on who many of us think of as number one. I'm number one. Love myself above God, love myself. That's not the 10 Commandments. God wants us to be outward focused. He is outward focused. When you are in a relationship with God, you will find somebody who does not care about themselves. They're willing to be whipped. They're willing to have their body destroyed just because they can help you to live a life that lasts forever. God died on the cross. He was Jesus. In Exodus 20, verse 3 through 17, we find the 10 Commandments listed out 1 through 10. So we're going to look at each of them briefly. "You shall have no other gods before me" is the first commandment and part of the greatest commandment. It talks about authority, who you obey. This is actually the first sin. First sin was about authority. Satan, his first sin, was about putting himself and the way that he wanted things above the way that God wanted things. God is like a loving and responsible boss. If you're somebody who is brand new at McDonald's, walk in first day, "I got my spatula, boss." And the boss goes, "Great, see you later," and walks out the front door. The whole restaurant's up to you. I wouldn't call it a restaurant, but he leaves you there with no training. What I'm telling you right now, God is not like that. He has the experience. He knows everything that he needs to know, and he's willing to help you with that. He's not like an irresponsible boss who's going to take off. So God is a loving, responsible boss. Listen to his authority. We need God because we're clueless. In Exodus 20, verse 3 through 17, we find the next of the 10 Commandments. This is number 2. "You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above or in the earth beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." Was that fast? Guys, we were designed by God to proclaim the value of something. There are things in each of our lives sitting here We proclaim